61 years he gave to Penn State University, head football coach Joe Paterno. Of course, after everything happened on Wednesday night, fans were able to react.
Done so much for the school, and he was fired over the phone, and I don't think anyone really deserves that, especially not him. Like, Beaver Stadium is the way it is because of him. Like, Paterno Fellows, which is a liberal arts honors program, he's given so much money to that. The library, like everything he's done for the school.
And that fan, of course, outside of Beaver Stadium. All right, now let's get to the fact that the Paterno Stag Trophy is what they're playing for. Ironically, Joe Paterno will leave Penn State, tied with Amos Alonzo Stagg for the most games coached as a head coach.
Yeah, I guess in this game with Nebraska, he would have broken that,
Yes.
and it would have been another remarkable accomplishment under Joe Paterno's tenure.
All right, now let's get to the division standings, because at the end of the day, this is what the teams are looking at. Nebraska, after that loss, even though they need to just tie Michigan State because they have that game on them, but right now they're at 3-2 in the conference. They can afford to lose.
They got to win this football game. If Michigan State wins out, Nebraska's not going to fulfill the promise everyone thought they had for this football season.
Let's get to the leaders division now, where Penn State, of course, has been the team setting the pace there. 2-game lead with 3 to play, thus this game pivotal in terms of their aspirations to get to Indianapolis.
You know, if Penn State still has an opportunity, Steve. Wins 2 out of the last 3. They go to the Big Ten championship football game.
Now you look at the overall BCS standings. We know after the game between Alabama and LSU on Saturday night, where LSU in overtime won 9-6 over Alabama, they are the #1 team in the BCS standings at this stage. Oklahoma State there at 2. Alabama only fell to 3. Stanford and Boise undefeated, round out the top 5. Penn State, you see them right there at this stage of the season. Actually, the #1 team in the BCS from the Big Ten is Penn State. All right, so let's check what's happening around the BCS this weekend. Big game, Stanford, Oregon. That will be in Palo Alto. Tennessee Tech will be at Arkansas. 10th ranked Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech square off this week, and Auburn is at Georgia. And that Georgia game, by the way, has implications, I should point out, for Boise State. Boise beat them early in the season. Yeah. Besides Penn State and Nebraska, it's Michigan State at Iowa, Wisconsin and Minnesota. Michigan will be at Illinois. Ohio State's at Purdue. The Nittany Lions play at Ohio State next week. And Rice, in a non-conference game, will play at Northwestern. All right, so a lot of key matchups there. And it's interesting the way the BCS is boiling down at this stage, Phil. Stanford and Boise at the moment on the outside looking in, but they know Oklahoma State still has to play Oklahoma, but Alabama only fell to 3.
You know, I wonder if Penn State would have won that football game 9-6. I was surprised. I'm being facetious here when I say that, but no one criticized Alabama or LSU's offense when the game ended up being 9-6. Two great defensive football teams. All
right, let's get to the keys to the game. We'll start it out with my keys to the game against Nebraska. Balance on offense. I don't mean positive balance. If you can get in the neighborhood a couple of yards rushing, a couple of 100 yards passing, it really sets up the play action pass game when you can do that. You need to force Nebraska to throw the football. In other words, do a good job on Taylor Martinez and Rex Burkhead. And even though Martinez threw for 289 last week, you have to put him back in that mode where he is throwing the ball. And with Marr and Fair and the respective return guys, I think if you play even on special teams, I think you put yourself in a decent position to win.
I'll tell you, it sounds like you are thinking the same way about this football game as I am. I think those are 3 excellent keys leading into Saturday's football game.
Well, then let's see your keys to the game and how they stack up with mine.
Force Nebraska to pass the football and do it on your dime when you want them to throw the football. You establish the running game on offense because you got to have balance against the Nebraska defense. If you have balance, you can take advantage of some things. And I think winning the special team battles would be really, really big for Penn State.
You know, over the past hour, Phil and I have taken the time, and not all the time, but again, to take a look at the game between Penn State and Nebraska that's being played, because it's part of the mission of the show. Not one point during the course of the show that either one of us ever forget, along with our outstanding crew, about the alleged victims and what they've gone through in this particular case, and along with their family and friends. Because of that, we just want to make sure that we point that out at the end of the show as we did at the beginning of the show. In the middle, we did talk about football because the game is going to be played. So it's been a tumultuous week at Penn State, and now senior day is upon us. at Beaver Stadium. For Phil Gross and our entire outstanding crew, I'm Steve Jones. Thanks for joining us on the Blue White Tailgate.